Well, hello, thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail. You're very welcome to the programme, and we're continuing here at the Presbyterian Church in Dromore, County Down here, the Bon Road Church, or the Bon Bridge Road Church. And in less than a month after the Reverend James Rentoole's death, the vacancy was filled by the Reverend W.J. McMullen, who was ordained on the 1st of March 1917. Now, his father was a farmer in REV, and the Reverend Mullen was trained at the local national school, and then he went to REV Classical School, and then finally to Magee College in Londonderry. Now, after his ordination, he took on the work with a vigour, and he had been nominated as Army Chaplain, and so he was released from the congregation on Sunday the 18th of August, being his last service before heading to France during World War I in 1918, which was the last year of the war, of course. Now, by the end of 1919, the Reverend McMullen had been demobilised from his chaplain duties in the army and was coming back to the Bon Bridge Road congregation. So the Reverend McMullen did his pastoral visits on a motorbike, believe it or believe it not, which of course was a novelty in those days, and very often he had a sidecar attached as well. Now, unfortunately, the Reverend McMullen died as the result of a tragic car accident that he was involved in as a passenger on the Shore Road at Whitewell in Belfast in 1920. And the funeral took place on Monday, the 2nd of February 1920, and he was only aged 27. So, very sad, unfortunately. And so then, after the death of the Reverend McMullen, the Reverend George F. McQUITTY was ordained here and installed as minister on the 27th of May 1920. And during the Reverend McQuitty's ministry here, the First Dromore Church conducted a mission, and that was held by the Reverend W.P. Nicholson. Now, First Dromore, of course, is just outside of the town, and was part of the town now, but back then it would have been classed as just outside the town. And of course, that's why this church here, Second Dromore, was built. So the meetings were held then in First Dromore on a Sunday, but they had asked permission then for the weeknight meetings to be held here at Second Dromore, and it was agreed. And so on the Sunday nights, then the congregation here went up to the First Presbyterian Church for those meetings with W.P. Nicholson. And of course, he was a very evangelist, so he was. So the Reverend McQuitty, he received a call to First Newton Ards, and so he was installed there on the 4th of November 1924. And the church is just behind the hedge there, is actually part of what's known as the non-subscribing Presbyterian Church. Of course, there was a breakaway in the 19th century, and they broke away from the mainstream Presbyterian churches, of course, and formed their own denomination. And I've done a video there, and the hall there that you see is the hall here of Second Presbyterian, Bon Road here. So that's their church hall. But I want to show you a grave here. Now, it's not a minister's grave, it's actually a relation of mine. It's my aunt and uncle who are buried here in this church. And this is a grave here. So this is the Curran plant. And it says, Curran, in loving memory of a dear husband, father and grandfather, Thomas John. And he died the 20th of July 2000. And of course, my second oldest brother, John Thomas Curran Porter, is named after Johnny Curran, as we would have called him. And so he got named after Johnny Kern. And then also his loving wife, Margaret, died 18th of September 2018. And of course, Margaret herself was a fantastic believer in Christ. She loved the Lord and she wasn't afraid to show it. And so it's absent from the body and present with the Lord. And of course, John would have professed salvation as well in Christ. So it's great to know that when a person dies, that it's absent from the body and present with the Lord. So there you go. You got a wee bit of personal history there as well. So thanks for watching, and God bless.